In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, dear friends and fellows, as for the human life is concerned, and as for the betterment of the human life is concerned, I think that for the sake of betterment, we need to do certain things, or rather, we need to do several things. And also that we need to do several things in a routine. While we are trying to adopt certain things and want to practice it in a routine, some bad things automatically are one way or the other by making one mistake or the other we do catch the bad habit as well. And obviously, as far as a good life is concerned, we need to strengthen and we need to consolidate the good habits of ours, and at the same time, we need to avoid the bad habits and we need to get rid of the bad habits which we are doing by mistake. Dear friends and fellows, look, the thing is that how to get rid of those bad habits, that is the topic of today's discussion. And that is the topic of today's discussion, dear friends. Look, yani, first of all, we need to tell ourselves, and we need to know, and we need to repeat this thing in mind several times, many times, many times, repeatedly, that this habit of mine is hurting me, is damaging my life this way and that way, and I'm getting this sort of loss and that sort of loss, this type of trouble and that type of trouble as well. Because of this habit of mine, we need to tell it. We need to tell this thing to our mind repeatedly, again and again. First of all, number two, now that we are repeating all that, the bad stuff, even if at all a bit of exaggeration is being done in this respect, it would be okay and it would be beneficial, dear friends. Then immediately after that, or along with that, we need to create the hatred for that particular habit in our mind and heart. We need to create the hatred. We need to look upon that in a despising manner. We need to we need to we need to look upon it in we need to consider it as an obnoxious habit, as something which is obnoxious, something which is worth hating, something which is worth looking down upon, something which should be despised upon. We need to create this sort of feeling in our mind and heart. And to be true, this will play a decisive role. Although we are telling ourselves that this habit of mine is hurting me this way, damaging me that way, creating problems and generating troubles for my life, but it is not enough that although it is important, although it is necessary, but it is not enough. Rather, we need to create quite a lot of hatred. We need to create quite a lot of hatred for that particular item, for that particular habit in our mind and heart, my dear friends and fellows. And the more successful we become, the more successful we do become in creating this hatred in our mind and heart, the easier it would be for us to get rid of that particular bad habit. Believe me or not, it does create a kind of decisive impact. And now the two of these things, telling ourselves, what is bad in it, and then creating the bad feelings about that. Because everything which we are doing in a routine, as a matter of fact, it is saved in our mind. It is saved in our mind as something pleasant, something good, something which should be done, something which is important for me. And that it has a picture like that in our subconscious mind. So we need to remove that picture, the picture of the pleasantness, and we need to replace and we need to put there a picture which is quite unpleasant, something which is worth hating, something which is worth looking down upon. This is the first two things, and which should be done in a set. And then there is a set of another two things as well. What are those two things? First of all, in that second half, we need to create a kind of self discipline in we ourselves. We need to create a kind of self discipline in we ourselves. and how to create a kind of self discipline, how to develop a kind of self control, that is important. And how can we do this, by the way? And there not only that we have to get rid of that particular item, rather we need to delay, we need to momentarily, we need to postpone for few minutes, we need to defer for few minutes. There are other things which we don't want to get rid of. Suppose there is a cup of tea in front of you and want to take it, and you don't have to get rid of that particular cup of tea, you want to continue it, but you can delay it, we can delay it for few minutes only. And for the purpose is that I am generating and creating a kind of self control in myself. And not only the tea, rather in many other things as well. There is a food on the table in front of you and you want to do it instantly, and but you're not deliberately delaying it, say for the 10 minutes. And what is the purpose? The purpose is that I shall be creating a kind of self control in myself, and self control in myself. This self control will help us a lot, and this self control will indeed help us a lot. And if at all, we might skip certain other things, and why? Although we don't want to get rid of those certain things, again the reason is that we are trying to create a kind of self control in ourselves. You know, this self control too is a very important ingredient as far the getting rid of a bad habit is concerned. That is indeed a very important ingredient, dear friends. And then lost but not the least, that is not to go, not to go somewhere where you actually used to do that particular habit, or not to say that if at all, you know, there are certain bad things somebody is watching in the Facebook, and then this visiting the Facebook account again and again. I think it should also be abandoned for some of the time. And why? Because we don't want, because these things are actually getting us closer to that particular habit. If at all something which is not bad in itself takes us closer to something else which we want to get rid of, then I think that we need to get rid of that particular habit as well. Now there is another example. If at all there is a common friend, if at all someone goes there, someone does a bad habit, and we were doing the bad habit as well, I think that we need to get rid of this company as well. That I think getting rid of that particular company is also very important. And whatever takes us closer to that particular item which we want to abandon, which we want to get rid of, any item which can take us closer toward that particular habit, I think that we need to get rid of that particular item as well. Although it is not bad in itself, although we don't want to get rid of this in itself, but still we want to get rid of it. What is the purpose? The purpose is that it is taking us closer to that particular item which we want to abandon, which we want to stop doing, which we want to get rid of, which we want to abandon, etc. So I think if at all these things are taken care of, and I think that we will be able to get rid of a bad habit. And a bad habit is not anyway lesser than a disease. Any bad habit is not lesser than a disease. So I think that if at all by making such a sacrifice, if at all by making small sacrifices, we can get rid of a disease, I think it is something which must be done, which is quite appreciable. And if at all we keep getting rid of the bad habits, I think the day will arrive when we will be inshallah living a happier and a successful life. Thank you very much.